Hello, my name is Collin Schumm, and today I'll be doing a presentation on Ballad by Henry Cowell. So it was written in 1954 by Henry Cowell. It fits in the 20th century modernism, and it's hard to know the significance of this song because there's really no information online. So I'm going to move out of here and we take a quick little minute listen to this song. Alright, so that's just a quick little glimpse into that. Moving on. So who is Henry Cowell? He was born on March 11th of 1897 and passed away on December 10th of 1965. He grew up with a rough childhood. His parents kind of living this bohemian lifestyle. Both were aspiring writers and didn't really make any significant strides in that area. So his dad left his mother very early on, and him and his mother just kind of bounced around and around everywhere they went. So he showed some musical brilliance at a very early age, as a study shown by Lewis Terman, who was one of the originators of the modern IQ test, and he stated that even behind some hidden scientific deficits of learning, Henry Cowell had a brilliant musical understanding at such a young age. And then Charles Seeger at California was a musicologist who really opened Cowell's eyes, and he allowed him to kind of flourish into his own artist and discover all these other techniques outside of America and outside of kind of the ad-libbing that he was doing. So Charles Seeger was incredibly important in Henry Cowell's life. He inspired him with all these new things to publish a book called New Musical Resources in 1930. He was a leading figure in the composition of avant-garde music, which was a very experimental type of music, and he was an experimentalist. His music was originally condemned when he went on tour in Europe originally, but eventually people began to love it because it was different, and it was something they hadn't seen before, and there was a great appreciation for that. So some of his most famous works are the Banshee, the Aeolian Harp, his Mosaic Quartet, and the Rhythmicana, which was written specifically for an instrument that was designed by a Russian engineer. So that's a pretty special thing to him, an engineer, I would assume. The weird thing is he had a prison stint from 1936 to 1940 for homosexual misconduct. There's not a huge base of knowledge out there about what actually occurred because it was so long ago. But that was the reason he was in prison, and really a low point in his musical career and a massive bump in his life. So some musical elements from the piece. We heard a little bit of this. The form is ternary with an ABA. So in the beginning, it's very slow, and that's the A, and then the B is right when I ended it, it began to speed up. So that's where the B is, and then it comes and ends again with an A pattern. So you can see that the tempo is moderate throughout, but it has slight variations that speed it up and slow it down. But the meter is not congruent, because at the beginning and end, there's quadruple, which is consistent with the A, and the middle portion is triple, which is consistent with the B in the ternary pattern. So the melody is conjunct throughout. There's no crazy jumps up or down that kind of change it and make a disjunct into the song. The harmony, it has consonants. It's a nice and easy flow, as you can see just in that small example I gave. And some other songs, it's kind of up and down. It's all over the place. This one's very smooth and easy. The dynamics are moderately soft, progressing to moderately loud, and then back to soft. And that's consistent once again with our form of the ternary, that ABA pattern. And the texture is homophonic. So listening guide. That first minute or so was quadruple meter, which is slow, excuse me. And the triple meter is right what I began to show you at the end of when I stopped it, is that 58 seconds to a minute 23 is when it speeds up, and that's our B in our form, the ternary, and that's the triple meter. So the harmony, like I said, it's really smooth, and the song just flows very easily, like almost like background music, but it's very peaceful and beautiful. The dynamics are soft and loud. At the beginning we have the soft, and at the end we also have soft, but in the middle we have that loud portion. The melody, we recognize, you can recognize the melody stays relatively the same throughout. There's no crazy jumps or changes that really stand out, like, oh, whoa, what was that? It's very smooth, like the harmony, but it stays the same. So how it affected me. I felt it described a group of characters returning home from a very long journey or a tough battle. It really made me think of like The Hobbit when they're all coming back to the Shire. Nonetheless, it had that kind of feeling of bringing the story to a close, which I thought was really, really smooth. The flow was really smooth, and I thought it was incredibly fitting that was what I thought. He conveyed this with the unity of the piece throughout. It all flows together very well, and it all fits together. He's not taking a bunch of random parts and pieces and lumping them together. It's like a smooth line that flows. It's written for a string orchestra, as you can see in the YouTube video that I showed of the piece, which allows it to be a little softer than something else. So it's hard to say if the piece actually achieved its purpose because there's really no information of what the purpose was. So he was an experimentalist, but this piece is far more ordinary. You wouldn't think of an outside the box type thing like, oh, well, what is this? It's a little groundbreaking when you hear this. The homophonic texture, the constants in the ternary meter were all common. That's nothing that's out of the ordinary that we've never seen before. We saw that years and years before he composed this song. And I just thought it was a beautiful piece of music that fit really well in the 20th century modernism time period. When you kind of think of that time period, I think that's something you would expect, a smooth and soft piece that really tells a story. And here are my works cited. Thank you.